The cargo hauler Persistence drifted through the dark space like any other merchant vessel. Its hull was scarred from years of service, carrying mining equipment and supplies between colonies. Captain Sarah Chen sat in the command chair, reviewing manifests on her tablet while her crew of 8 went about their usual tasks. The route through the Epsilon corridor was supposed to be safe. Trade ships passed through here every day without problems. Chen had made this run dozens of times before. She expected nothing different today. Marcus, her communications officer, looked up from his station. His young face showed confusion. "Captain, I'm getting strange readings on the sensors. Multiple contacts just appeared at the edge of our range." Chen put down her tablet and walked to the sensor display. 5 ships had emerged from what looked like nowhere. Their signatures were unfamiliar, but their formation was not. She had seen that pattern before in training simulations. It was a hunting formation. "Pirates," she said calmly. "Kral Consortium, if I'm reading these signatures right." The engineer Thomas turned from his console with worry in his eyes. "Should we run? Our engines can't outpace them." "No need," Chen replied. She pressed a button on her chair's armrest. "Let's see what they want first." The pirate fleet closed in quickly. Their ships were larger than the Persistence, covered with weapon ports and armor plating. They moved with the confidence of predators who had done this many times before. A transmission came through. The alien face on the screen had 4 eyes and gray skin that looked like rough stone. Vexthor, the Kral commander, smiled with too many teeth. He spoke in rough but understandable English. "Human vessel, this is simple. You stop your engines. You let us board. We take your cargo. Maybe we let you live. If you resist, we destroy you. You have 1 minute to decide." Marcus looked at Chen with fear. The rest of the crew had stopped their work and were watching. This was supposed to be a safe route. Their ship was just a cargo hauler. They had no chance against 5 warships. Chen leaned back in her chair. Her face showed no fear, only a tired kind of annoyance. She had dealt with this before, though her crew did not know it. "Kral vessel," she said into the microphone. Her voice was steady and calm. "You have 30 seconds to leave this area. Turn your ships around and go. This is your only warning." The transmission was silent for a moment. Then Vexthor began to laugh. His crew joined him. The sound came through the speakers like rocks grinding together. "You warn us? You are 1 small cargo ship with no weapons. We are 5 warships. You humans are either very brave or very stupid. We will find out which when we board your ship." Chen checked her wrist display. The countdown timer showed 15 seconds remaining. She had given them fair warning. That was more than they deserved, but it was the human way. "Always give them a chance to leave, Captain," Marcus asked quietly. "What do we do?" "We follow protocol," Chen said. She watched the timer count down. 10 seconds, 9, 8. The Kral ships were getting closer. Their weapon systems were powering up, ready to disable the Persistence's engines. Vexthor was still laughing on the screen, entertaining his crew with jokes about weak humans. 5 seconds. 4. 3. Chen pressed another button on her armrest. Red lights began flashing throughout the ship. A computer voice announced, "Combat protocols activated. All crew to safety stations 210." The timer reached 0. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. The Persistence continued drifting through space. The Kral fleet closed in for the final approach. Then the cargo containers opened. What the Kral had thought were simple storage boxes split apart with mechanical precision. Hidden panels slid away from the hull. Support struts that had looked like normal ship structure rotated and locked into new positions. The Persistence transformed in seconds. Weapon platforms emerged from every cargo container. Missile batteries deployed from what had seemed like engine supports. Point defense turrets rose from the hull plating. Electronic warfare arrays activated across the ship's surface. The laughter on Vexthor's face died. His 4 eyes went wide with shock. "What is this?" he shouted. "This is a cargo ship." "Cargo ships don't have weapons." Chen's smile was cold. "Every human ship has weapons. We learned that lesson a long time ago." "You should have taken the warning." She pressed one more button. Fire. The Persistence unleashed everything at once. Railgun rounds shot through space faster than the eye could follow. Guided missiles launched in waves, their engines burning bright in the darkness. Laser batteries locked onto targets and fired with perfect accuracy. Electronic warfare systems jammed the Kral sensors and communications. The pirate fleet had no time to react. Their shields had been set for normal ship combat, not for this overwhelming volume of fire. The first two crawl vessels exploded in seconds, torn apart by railgun rounds that punched through their armor like paper. Vexthor screamed orders to his remaining ships, but it was already too late. The humans had made their choice, and the Krall were about to learn what that meant. The third Krall ship tried to turn away. It managed to rotate halfway before 3 missiles hit its engine section. The explosion sent debris spinning through space. The ship went dark and began drifting helplessly. Vexthor's flagship took several direct hits. Alarms blared throughout his bridge. His crew shouted in panic as systems failed one after another. The shields that should have protected them were useless against the coordinated attack. "Retreat!" Vexthor screamed into his communications. "All ships retreat now." The 4th and 5th ships tried to run. They turned and fired their engines at maximum power, but the Persistence's targeting systems had already locked onto them. More missiles launched. More railgun rounds fired. Within seconds, both ships were crippled. The entire battle lasted less than 30 seconds. 5 Krall warships had been reduced to floating wreckage or disabled hulks. Only Vexthor's flagship remained partially functional, though its engines were dead and half its systems were offline. Captain Chen sat calmly in her chair, watching the results on her display. Her crew stared at the screens in shock. They had known their ship had weapons, of course. All human ships did, but they had never seen them used like this. They had never understood what their cargo hauler really was. Thomas, the engineer, finally found his voice. "Captain, I had no idea we had this much firepower. This is a cargo ship. How is this possible?" Chen looked at her young crew. Most of them were new to space travel. They had not lived through the Formian conflict 20 years ago. They had not learned the hard lessons humanity had paid for in blood. "After first contact with the Formians, we learned something important," Chen explained. "We learned that space is dangerous. We learned that we can't rely on others to protect us. We learned that every human ship needs to be able to defend itself." She pulled up a document on her screen and shared it with the crew. It was an official Earth United mandate from 18 years ago. The title read, Universal Defense Initiative. Every human vessel, no matter its primary purpose, must be capable of defending itself and others, Chen read from the document. There are no civilian ships in human space. There are only ships not currently fighting. Every vessel will be built with modular weapon systems. Every crew will be trained in combat procedures. Marcus looked at the cargo containers that had opened to reveal weapons. "So all those mining equipment containers are real mining equipment," Chen confirmed. "But the containers themselves are also weapon platforms. Dual purpose. Everything on this ship serves multiple functions. Those support struts you walk past every day, missile batteries, that extra plating we added last month, layered armor, the backup power systems, they're sized to run weapons." She stood and walked to the main viewport. Outside, the disabled Krall ships drifted in space. Emergency lights blinked on their hulls. She felt no satisfaction from the destruction, only a tired acceptance of necessity. "The galaxy taught us to be paranoid," Chen said quietly. "Every species we met tried to take advantage of us at least once. Some, like the Formians, tried to conquer us. Others, like the Krall, just wanted to steal from us. We decided that would never happen again. Not without a fight." A transmission request came through from Vexthor's damaged flagship. Chen accepted it. The Krall commander's face appeared on screen again. This time there was no laughter. His gray skin had turned pale. His 4 eyes showed fear and confusion. "Please," Vexthor said. His voice was weak. "We surrender. Don't destroy us. Our life support is failing. We have wounded." Chen studied him for a long moment. Part of her wanted to deny his request. He had come here to rob and possibly kill her crew. He had laughed at her warning. He deserved no mercy, but that was not the human way. Humans fought hard, but they were not cruel. They followed rules even when their enemies did not. "We will take you aboard," Chen said. "Your crew will receive medical attention. You will be treated according to interstellar law. But understand this, Vexthor. You chose this path. You made your decision when you ignored my warning." She cut the transmission and turned to her crew. "Thomas, prepare the cargo bay for prisoners. Marcus, send the standard distress and combat report to all human vessels in range. Medical team, get ready to receive wounded. We do this by the book." The crew moved to follow her orders. They worked with new understanding. They were not just cargo haulers. They were defenders. They were warriors when they needed to be. That was what it meant to be human in this galaxy. As the Persistence extended docking tubes to the crippled Krawl flagship, Chen looked out at the debris field. 2 ships completely destroyed, 3 disabled, all because they had made one simple mistake. They had assumed humans were easy prey. They had thought a cargo ship was helpless. They had learned too late that in human space there was no such thing as an unarmed vessel. The universe was about to learn that lesson too, because Marcus had already sent the report. And every human ship within 3 sectors was changing course to respond. The 3rd Krawl ship tried to turn away. It managed to rotate halfway before 3 missiles hit its engine section. The explosion sent debris spinning through space. The ship went dark and began drifting helplessly. Vexthor's flagship took several direct hits. Alarms blared throughout his bridge. His crew shouted in panic as systems failed one after another. The shields that should have protected them were useless against the coordinated attack. "Retreat!" Vexthor screamed into his communications. "All ships retreat now!" The 4th and 5th ships tried to run. They turned and fired their engines at maximum power. But the Persistence's targeting systems had already locked onto them. More missiles launched, more railgun rounds fired. Within seconds, both ships were crippled. The entire battle lasted less than 30 seconds. 5 Krawl warships had been reduced to floating wreckage or disabled hulks. Only Vexthor's flagship remained partially functional, though its engines were dead and half its systems were offline. Captain Chen sat calmly in her chair, watching the results on her display. Her crew stared at the screens in shock. They had known their ship had weapons, of course. All human ships did. But they had never seen them used like this. They had never understood what their cargo hauler really was. Thomas, the engineer, finally found his voice. "Captain, I had no idea we had this much firepower. This is a cargo ship. How is this possible?" Chen looked at her young crew. Most of them were new to space travel. They had not lived through the Formian conflict 20 years ago. They had not learned the hard lessons humanity had paid for in blood. "After first contact with the Formians, we learned something important," Chen explained. "We learned that space is dangerous. We learned that we can't rely on others to protect us. We learned that every human ship needs to be able to defend itself." She pulled up a document on her screen and shared it with the crew. It was an official, Earth United mandate from 18 years ago. The title read, Universal Defense Initiative. Every human vessel, no matter its primary purpose, must be capable of defending itself and others. Chen read from the document. There are no civilian ships in human space. There are only ships not currently fighting. Every vessel will be built with modular weapon systems. Every crew will be trained in combat procedures. Marcus looked at the cargo containers that had opened to reveal weapons. "So all those mining equipment containers are real mining equipment," Chen confirmed. "But the containers themselves are also weapon platforms. Dual purpose. Everything on this ship serves multiple functions. Those support struts you walk past every day, missile batteries, that extra plating we added last month, layered armor, the backup power systems, they're sized to run weapons." She stood and walked to the main viewport. Outside, the disabled Krawl ships drifted in space. Emergency lights blinked on their hulls. She felt no satisfaction from the destruction, only a tired acceptance of necessity. "The galaxy taught us to be paranoid," Chen said quietly. "Every species we met tried to take advantage of us at least once. Some, like the Formians, tried to conquer us. Others, like the Krawl, just wanted to steal from us. We decided that would never happen again, not without a fight." A transmission request came through from Vexthor's damaged flagship. Chen accepted it. The Krawl commander's face appeared on screen again. This time there was no laughter. His gray skin had turned pale. His 4 eyes showed fear and confusion. "Please," Vexthor said. His voice was weak. "We surrender. Don't destroy us. Our life support is failing. We have wounded." Chen studied him for a long moment. Part of her wanted to deny his request. He had come here to rob and possibly kill her crew. He had laughed at her warning. He deserved no mercy. But that was not the human way. Humans fought hard, but they were not cruel. They followed rules even when their enemies did not. "We will take you aboard," Chen said. "Your crew will receive medical attention. You will be treated according to interstellar law. But understand this, Vexthor. You chose this path. You made your decision when you ignored my warning." She cut the transmission and turned to her crew. "Thomas, prepare the cargo bay for prisoners. Marcus, send the standard distress and combat report to all human vessels in range. Medical team, get ready to receive wounded. We do this by the book." The crew moved to follow her orders. They worked with new understanding. They were not just cargo haulers. They were defenders. They were warriors when they needed to be. That was what it meant to be human in this galaxy. As the Persistence extended docking tubes to the crippled Kral flagship, Chen looked out at the debris field. 2 ships completely destroyed, 3 disabled, all because they had made one simple mistake. They had assumed humans were easy prey. They had thought a cargo ship was helpless. They had learned too late that in human space, there was no such thing as an unarmed vessel. The universe was about to learn that lesson too, because Marcus had already sent the report, and every human ship within 3 sectors was changing course to respond. The combat report spread through human networks at the speed of light. Every ship, every station, every colony received the alert within minutes. The message was simple and clear. Kral pirates had attacked a human vessel in the Epsilon corridor. The vessel had defended itself successfully. Assistance requested. This was different from how other species operated. When a merchant ship from another civilization was attacked, it might send a distress call. Someone might respond eventually, or they might not. It depended on many factors: distance, profit, politics, mood. Humans did not work that way. When one human ship was attacked, every human ship responded. It was automatic. It was mandatory. It was the foundation of human survival in space. Within an hour, 6 human vessels had changed course toward the Epsilon corridor. 2 were military, destroyers on patrol 3 sectors away. 3 were merchant ships like the Persistence carrying various goods through nearby routes. 1 was a science vessel studying asteroid formations. All of them were armed. All of them were ready to fight if needed. On the Persistence, Captain Chen supervised the transfer of Kral prisoners. 32 aliens were brought aboard from the disabled ships. Most were injured. Some were dying. The human medical team worked on all of them without discrimination. Vexthor was brought to the ship's brig. It was a small but secure facility with proper life support and monitoring systems. Every human cargo ship had one. Just like every human ship had weapons, every human ship had facilities for prisoners. The Kral commander sat on the simple bench, in his cell. His gray skin was darker now with bruises and burns. His 4 eyes watched Chen as she entered the brig area. He looked confused and defeated. "I don't understand," Vexthor said quietly. "Your ship was listed as a cargo hauler. Our intelligence said it carried only mining equipment. No weapons, no military capability. We've attacked other cargo ships before. They run or they surrender. None of them fight like you did." Chen stood outside the cell with her arms crossed. "You attacked other cargo ships? From which species?" "Many species. Dozens over the years. They all do the same thing. They're cargo. Ships are weak. Easy targets. Sometimes they have a single defense turret or old shields. Nothing serious, nothing like what you have." "And human ships?" Chen asked. "How many human ships have you attacked before today?" Vexthor's expression became more confused. 17, over the past year. Different ships in different sectors. All cargo haulers or transport vessels. All responded the same way you did. Heavy weapons, fast targeting, overwhelming force." He leaned forward, his voice rising. "How do cargo ships have destroyer-level weapons? Why do transport ships carry enough missiles to destroy fleets? This makes no sense. You're supposed to be merchants, not warriors." Chen felt a cold anger building inside her. 17 attacks, 17 times the Kraul had tried to prey on human vessels, and they still had not learned. They still had not understood what they were dealing with. "We are merchants," Chen said calmly. "But we are also survivors. Every human ship is built for the worst possible scenario. We assume every flight might end in combat. We assume every peaceful encounter might turn violent. We prepare for everything." She pulled up a display on her tablet and showed it to Vexthor. "These are the 17 ships you attacked. Every single one survived. Every single one destroyed or disabled your vessels. And you never connected them? You never realized you were attacking the same species each time?" Vexthor stared at the screen. His 4 eyes moved across the data. Ship names, dates, locations, casualties, all Kraul casualties, all human victories. We thought they were different militaries," Vexthor said slowly. "Different human factions, maybe private security. We didn't think regular cargo ships would all be this heavily armed. No other species does this. It's not normal." "Normal didn't keep us alive," Chen replied. "Normal got us killed during the Formian War. Normal meant relying on others for protection. Normal meant hoping for rescue that might never come. We learned to stop being normal." An alert sounded on Chen's communicator. Marcus's voice came through. "Captain, the destroyer Uncompromising has arrived. Captain Torres is requesting permission to come aboard." Chen looked at Vexthor one more time. "You're about to see what real human military looks like. What we did to your fleet. That was a cargo ship showing restraint. Captain Torres won't be as gentle as I was." She left the brig and made her way to the docking port. Through the viewports, she could see the Uncompromising approaching. The destroyer was 3 times the size of the Persistence and covered in visible weapon systems. Unlike the cargo ship's hidden armaments, the military vessel made no attempt to disguise its purpose. Captain James Torres came aboard with a small security team. He was older than Chen, with gray in his hair and scars on his hands from years of service. He saluted her with respect despite her lower rank. "Good work, Captain Chen," Torres said. 5 enemy vessels neutralized with 0 friendly casualties. Your restraint in not using the heavier systems was noted. The nuclear-pumped lasers would have been overkill." Chen blinked in surprise. She had forgotten about those. The really dangerous weapons that cargo ships carried but almost never used. "I didn't think it was necessary. The conventional systems were sufficient." Torres nodded. "That's the difference between us and them. We have the power to destroy completely, but we choose to use only what's needed. That's what makes us civilized." He paused. "Now let's go talk to these pirates. I want to know why they thought attacking human vessels was a good idea." As they walked to the brig together, Chen realized that the Kraul had made a fatal error. They had not just attacked one ship, they had attacked humanity itself. And humanity never forgot. Humanity never forgave. And humanity always made examples of those who threatened them. Captain Torres reviewed the interrogation data on his tablet while standing in the Persistence's conference room. Chen sat across from him, along with several officers from both ships. The information Vexthor had provided was disturbing but useful. 17 attacks over 1 year, Torres said, looking up from the screen. All on human vessels, all ended with Kraul losses. And they never reported this to their leadership? Never warned each other? Chen shook her head. According to Vexthor, each pirate group operates independently. They don't share information with each other. Competition is fierce. Telling others about a failed attack would make them look weak. So they kept trying the same tactic, expecting different results, Torres said with a thin smile. Classic mistake, but it's worse than that. They've been testing our defenses without knowing it, probing for weaknesses that don't exist. He stood and walked to the viewport, looking out at the wreckage of the Kraul fleet. Earth Command needs to make a decision. Do we keep letting them attack us one group at a time? Or do we send a message they can't ignore? Chen knew what he was suggesting. You want to make an example. I want to make the right example, Torres corrected. Something that shows we're serious but also shows we're civilized. We're not butchers. We don't kill defeated enemies. But we do make sure they understand the consequences of their actions. He turned back to face the group. Here's what I'm proposing. We repair Vex Thor's flagship. Just enough to get it home. We load it with medical supplies and repair materials for the wounded. We give them full documentation of all 17 attacks on human vessels, and we send them back with a message burned into every system on that ship. One of Torres's officers spoke up. Sir, won't that make us look weak, letting them go after they attacked us? Torres shook his head. We destroyed their fleet in 30 seconds. We took their commander prisoner. We showed them that every human ship, even a cargo hauler, is a legitimate military threat. That's not weakness. That's overwhelming strength combined with mercy. That's what terrifies people more than cruelty ever could. Chen understood his reasoning. You want them to tell their story. You want the whole Kral consortium to know what happens when they attack humans. Exactly, Torres confirmed. Dead. Pirates can't spread warnings, but survivors can. And when those survivors bring proof of 17 defeats, when they show that even our cargo ships are warships, the message becomes impossible to ignore. Over the next 3 days, the Uncompromising's repair crews worked on Vex Thor's flagship. They fixed the life support systems. They patched the hull breaches. They restored the engines to minimal functionality. They did just enough to make the ship spaceworthy for the journey home. But they also did something else. They installed a transmitter in the ship's main computer. It would broadcast a message on every frequency. It would repeat continuously until the ship reached crawl space, and it would be impossible to remove without destroying the entire navigation system. The message was simple and clear. Humanity does not have civilian targets. Every human ship is armed. Every human crew is trained. Attack one of us and you attack all of us. This is your only warning. There will be no second chances. Vex Thor was brought to the docking area as his crew prepared to leave. His wounded had been treated. His dead had been returned to him with proper respect. His ship was functional, but his pride was destroyed. Captain Torres stood before him. You came here to rob us. You threatened to kill us. You laughed at our warning. Now you're going home with your life and your crew. Do you know why? Vex Thor's 4 eyes looked down. Because you're showing mercy. No, Torres said firmly. Because we're showing you what real strength looks like. We could have killed you. We could have left you to die in space. We chose not to. Not because we're weak, but because we're civilized. We follow rules even when our enemies don't. That's what makes us different. He stepped closer. You're going to go home. You're going to tell everyone what happened here. You're going to show them the data on 17 attacks and 17 defeats. And you're going to make sure they understand this one fact. Humans are not prey. We never were, and we never will be. Vex Thor nodded slowly. I understand. We made a mistake. A terrible mistake. Yes, you did, Torres agreed. Now make sure no one else makes the same one. The Kral crew boarded their damaged flagship. The docking clamps released. The ship turned slowly and began to move away from the human vessels. As it departed, the message transmitter activated. The warning began broadcasting across all frequencies. Chen stood next to Torres, watching the Kral ship disappear into the distance. Do you think they'll listen? She asked. Torres was quiet for a moment. Some will, some won't. But now they can't say they weren't warned. We gave them information. We gave them proof. We gave them a chance to change. What they do with it is up to them. He turned to her with a slight smile. Besides, we have something better than their fear. We have their respect. They know now that humans are dangerous. More importantly, they know we're dangerous and reasonable. That combination is more powerful than simple brutality. As the Kral ship jumped to faster-than-light travel, human salvage crews moved in on the destroyed vessels. They collected the debris with efficient precision. Every piece of metal was catalogued. Every useful component was recovered. Every bit of technology was analyzed. Nothing was wasted. Everything was weaponized. Even in victory, even in mercy, humans remained what they had become. The species that learned from every encounter, that prepared for every possibility, that turned every disadvantage into strength. The galaxy was about to learn what that really meant. 3 weeks later, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session. The grand chamber on the neutral station of Harmony Point filled with representatives from 47 different species. Each one had received reports about human activities. Each one had concerns. Ambassador Marcus Webb walked into the chamber with calm confidence. He was an older man with gray hair and sharp eyes. He had represented humanity at the council for 15 years. He knew how these meetings worked. HFY Council leader, a tall being with blue skin and multiple arms, spoke first. Ambassador Webb, this council has received numerous complaints about human military activities. Your species has armed every vessel in your fleet. Your cargo ships carry weapons that rival our warships. Your mining stations have defensive systems that could destroy fleets. We must ask, are humans preparing for war? Webb stood at the speaker's platform. He looked around the chamber at all the different species. Some looked concerned, some looked angry, some looked afraid. He had expected this. We are not preparing for war, Webb said clearly. We are preparing for survival. There is a difference. Oh, representative from the Kelvin Collective stood. Your preparations look like aggression. You have turned peaceful merchant vessels into warships. You have militarized civilian infrastructure. This violates the spirit of peaceful cooperation. Webb pulled up a display. Data filled the holographic screens around the chamber. These are records of attacks on human vessels over the past 5 years. 234 separate incidents. Pirates, raiders, territorial disputes, and unprovoked aggression. Every species in this chamber has attacked us at least once. He let that sink in. The chamber grew quiet. Several representatives looked uncomfortable. The Formians tried to conquer us, Webb continued. The Kral tried to rob us. The Velkin tried to enslave our colonies. The Hixar tried to steal our technology. And dozens of smaller groups tried to take advantage of us because we looked weak. We decided we would never look weak again. Another representative spoke up. But your response is extreme. You don't need weapons on cargo ships. You don't need every station to be a fortress. Webb shook his head. Every human life is valuable to us. Every ship, every station, every colony represents our people. We will not leave them defenseless and hope for the best. We will not rely on others to protect us. We learned that lesson in blood. He changed the display. New data appeared. Here are the facts. Since implementing our Universal Defense Initiative, human casualties from attacks have dropped by 98%. Not because we attack others, but because others now think twice before attacking us. We have never initiated a conflict. We have never expanded through conquest. We have never attacked without provocation. The council leader studied the data. What about the recent incident with the Kral Consortium? You destroyed their fleet. After they attacked us, Webb corrected. After they ignored a warning to leave peacefully. After 17 previous attacks on human vessels, we defended ourselves. We followed interstellar law. We treated their wounded and returned their survivors with mercy and medical supplies. We did everything right. He paused and looked directly at the council leader. But I noticed something interesting. The Kral representatives are not here today. They withdrew from council activities 2 weeks ago. Would you like to know why? Chamber waited. Webb smiled slightly. Because they're embarrassed. Because word spread about what happened. Because every pirate organization in this sector now knows that attacking human vessels is suicide. The Kral Consortium has lost all credibility. Their business is destroyed. Not by human aggression, but by their own poor decisions. A smaller species representative spoke. Their voice was quiet. Ambassador Webb, you must understand. Your military capability frightens us. What if you decide to use it for conquest instead of defense? Webb's expression softened. I understand your fear, but look at our history. We have the capability to destroy. We choose not to. We have the power to dominate. We choose cooperation. We have every reason to be angry at the galaxy for how it treated us. We choose mercy instead. He walked closer to the center of the chamber. You call us paranoid. We call it prepared. You see weapons, we see survival. You worry about our strength, we worry about our children. Every human ship is armed because we refuse to send our people into danger without giving them a chance to defend themselves. That's not aggression. That's responsibility. The council leader was silent for a long moment. Finally, they spoke. What you're saying is that humanity will never disarm. Not while threats exist, Webb confirmed. When the galaxy becomes truly peaceful, when attacks stop completely, when we can trust that our ships will not be targeted, then we can discuss reducing our defensive capabilities. Until then, we will remain vigilant. He looked around the chamber. One more time. But here's what I can promise you: we will never start a war, we will never attack the innocent. We will never use our strength to bully or conquer. We will follow the rules, we will honor treaties, we will be fair in our dealings. All we ask in return is that you do not mistake our desire for peace as weakness. Because if you attack us, if you threaten us, if you try to harm our people, you will face the consequences. And those consequences will be swift, overwhelming, and unavoidable. The council took a vote. By a narrow margin, they accepted humanity's defensive posture. Some species were unhappy, some were relieved, but all of them understood the message. Word spread through the galaxy. Human ships were no longer easy targets. Human stations were no longer vulnerable. Human colonies were no longer isolated. Attack one human, and all of them would respond. And they would respond with overwhelming force tempered by strict rules and unexpected mercy. Pirates began avoiding human shipping lanes entirely. The Crawl Consortium collapsed within months. Other criminal organizations added humans to their list of species not to target. Not because humans were cruel, but because they were too dangerous and too prepared. Interestingly, legitimate traders started preferring routes through human-patrolled space. The safest shipping lanes in the galaxy became those where humans operated. Because where humans went, pirates did not follow. Where humans established presence, security followed. 6 months after the incident with the Crawl, Captain Sarah Chen received a new cargo manifest. She was sitting in her command chair on the EO. Persistence, reviewing the details. The destination was a frontier colony. The cargo was listed as mining equipment and construction supplies. Marcus, her communications officer, looked at the route. Captain, this takes us through the Omega sector. That's considered the most dangerous region in this part of space. Multiple pirate groups operate there. Chen smiled. She plotted the course without hesitation. Then it's a good thing we're not an easy target. Thomas, the engineer, walked onto the bridge. He looked more confident now than he had 6 months ago. All systems are green, Captain. Weapons are calibrated and ready, just in case. Good, Chen said. But I don't think we'll need them. Word has spread. People know better now. She was right. The Persistence traveled through the Omega sector without incident. Pirates scanned the ship, saw it was human, and immediately moved away. No threats, no attacks, no problems. As they approached the frontier colony, Marcus asked, Captain, do you think this will last? Will the galaxy stay peaceful toward us? Chen looked out at the stars. As long as we remain prepared, as long as we never let our guard down, as long as we continue to show that we're both strong and fair, yes, I think it will last. She pressed the button to open communications with the colony. This is the cargo hauler Persistence requesting docking clearance. We have your supplies. The colony responded immediately with gratitude and relief. They had been waiting for these supplies. They needed them desperately, and they knew that a human ship would get through when others might not. As the Persistence entered orbit and prepared to unload, Chen thought about how much had changed. The galaxy had tried to see humans as prey. Humans had refused that role. They had not become predators instead. They had become something else entirely. They had become the consequence, the inevitable result of pushing too far, the response that could not be avoided. And in the vast darkness of space, among countless species and civilizations, that was exactly what humanity needed to be. Not the hunters, not the hunted, but the reminder that actions have results, that threats have answers, and that mercy and strength can exist in the same hand.